Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. Long Island's largest supplier of rock salt, all the great snow and ice melt products, snow blowers, shovels, spreaders, scrapers, and anything else, including generators, batteries, and flashlights, in case you need something to get you through this upcoming winter. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. So we are seeing at least a decent day overall here in the Northeast, and actually a bit better down further south into the middle and South Atlantic states, where there is much more in the way of sunshine going on. But we've got a few things happening. We're still waiting for this upper low that's taken a week to move from the Dakotas into southeastern Canada and eventually moving out to the east. So we keep getting all this cloud cover coming in off the Great Lakes and the moisture around the upper low, which has been primarily pinned more inland than at the coast. We also have some Gulf moisture and some thunderstorms breaking out in parts of Texas and into Louisiana. That area is moving to the east. And then on the upper left, you can begin to see the energy that is going to be coming in to make this a major storm that will be impacting the eastern half of the United States late this week. And it's going to be wide-ranging impacts from heavy snow to heavy rain to very strong winds. I think the winds at the end of the day may wind up being the biggest issue of all, but we'll get to that in a moment. Here's the wide radar view. Some lake effect still happening. We've got some snow backing in to eastern Maine. We have showers and downpours and some thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast. There's a little Gulf low that's moving eastward there, and starting to see some moisture approach the Pacific Northwest with that next weather system. Now, with respect to rainfall, or I'm sorry, with respect to liquid precipitation, I still keep making that mistake. We're looking at anywhere from an inch and a half to maybe as much as 2.5 inches of the of liquid precipitation in the Northeast, and also back through parts of the Great Lakes, where a lot of this is going to be in the form of snow, particularly in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and also in the eastern shores here of western Michigan. So you start to lose it after a while. And also down in parts of the coastal southeast, an inch and a half plus, and again along the Gulf Coast, looking at 3/4 of an inch to an inch. But let's take an early look at some snow probability. So this is just getting into the time frame now. So this is through 7 a.m. Thursday. This is the probability of at least 4. And you see that northeastern Kansas, eastern Nebraska, western Iowa, southern Minnesota, of 50% or more for at least 4. And we have even higher probabilities for at least 4 over into the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Now, on the long range, this will cover the period that I think will have probably the greatest impact, and we're going to start with Thursday into Friday. And here is the probability. We're going to call it the probability of at least 3. The dark blue is 50 to 70%. The light blue is 70 to 90%. So I know a lot of folks are traveling for the holidays, or you have people maybe traveling from these areas from the holidays into the Northeast. We've got for example, St. Louis would be in that area of 50 to 70. Chicago is in the area light blue of 70 to 90% probability of at least 3. So is Milwaukee. So that light blue area probably is where you're going to see the heaviest snow out of this particular storm. Notice in the Northeast, back over to parts of Pennsylvania, some lead moisture comes up. There's a small chance for at least 3, mainly in upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and then in the Adirondacks, they got a small area there where there's a 30 to 50% chance. Now, on the second day, which is Friday into Saturday, this is when the cold front sweeps eastward and the low center will be moving up somewhere in northern New York, or perhaps on the Canada side, north of Lake Ontario, as a very intense cyclone. We do have a 30 to 50% chance of at least three extending down through parts of northeastern Pennsylvania, but more in central PA down into northern West Virginia, back into Ohio. The darker blue is 50 to 70%. And I actually even have a 10 to 30 east of that 30 to 50. They have a 10 to 30 that's just northwest of New York City, northwestern Connecticut, just getting into southeastern Pennsylvania. I'm not sure why they have that there. I think there is a chance that we could see a brief burst of heavy snow when the upper trough goes by, but I'm not thinking that we're going to put widespread accumulating snows by any means out of this. So no weather problems, obviously, for the rest of the day, other than with the lake effect that we see in upstate New York. A dry day Tuesday. The low to the south goes to our south on Wednesday and moves out, but leaves a little weakness there off the southeast coast. There's your low, dropping down into North Texas, and you see where the isobars are pointed. They're pointed up toward Wisconsin, so that tells you where the greatest pressure falls are. We're going to be fine here with a high sitting between Nova Scotia and Newfoundland that's going to will have built southward, so it'll be cold but dry Wednesday into early Thursday. And then it's going to pick up that system off the southeast coast. It pretty much sets up as a gigantic warm front that comes up. We might even see some freezing rain, sleet, and snow in the mountains of West Virginia and northwestern Virginia for a brief time. Moderate to heavy rain will be moving up the coast later Thursday night into Friday morning. The isobars are very tightly packed. The low center at this point is somewhere north of Grand Rapids, Michigan, a 980 millibar pressure, and the gradient getting very tight. I think we could see southerly winds 30 to 40 miles an hour, gusts over 50. Then the cold front and upper trough sweep through, and that line of purple there in eastern Pennsylvania represents probably a very, very narrow band of heavy snow squalls that are going to be moving eastward. And that will come through. Winds will shift to the northwest for, Friday night. We'll probably have gusts to 50 or maybe even 60 miles an hour when that goes by. Notice New England, it's mostly rain there until the very end when the cold air sweeps in. And this is very cold air that is coming in to the eastern part of the United States. So by the time we'll be in the 40s on Thursday. I think we'll be in the 50s. Might even see a few places get to near 60 on Friday. But then the bottom will fall out. I'm going to just show you the daytime highs. These temperatures are probably left over from Friday night. We may very well spend the daytime Saturday in the upper teens and low 20s for highs, or maybe a little higher than that. Let's put a range of, say, between 18 and 25 from inland to warmer urban areas. It'll still be windy, but Christmas Eve will be dry. The core of the cold air will come in during Saturday night. We'll be down in the teens and single digits. Sunday, Christmas Day, will be a cold day with sunshine, a little bit less in the way of wind, and you see most of the high temperatures are generally in the middle to even a few upper 20s, some lower 30s off the coast in southeastern New England. So it's a shot of cold air, and that'll carry us into the first part of next week before conditions start to moderate after that. Going to be a cold Christmas. Unless we get a surprise whitening of the ground in some places and that snow lasts, it's not going to be a white Christmas for most folks in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. Weather in 5 is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. The Joe and Joe Show tonight at 7:35 Eastern Time on my YouTube channel. So we hope to see you then.